Hello, friends of Hush and Sleep. Welcome. Welcome to this space, a quiet haven carved out just for you, away from the hum and hurry of the modern world. Take a moment now to find your comfort. Perhaps you are lying down, feeling the gentle support of the surface beneath you. Or maybe you are seated, with your feet planted firmly on the ground. It matters not. What matters is your presence, right here, right now. Let a deep, slow breath fill your lungs. Hold it for just a heartbeat, and then release it, letting it carry away the tensions of the day. Feel your shoulders soften, dropping away from your ears. Feel the tiny muscles around your eyes release their grip. Another breath, in and out. With each exhale, you sink a little deeper into this moment of stillness. The world outside can wait. All of its demands, its notifications, its endless lists, they have no power here. Here, there is only the sound of my voice and the rhythm of your own breathing. A gentle tide, washing in and washing out. As you continue to breathe, to settle into this sanctuary of calm, a quiet thought may emerge. If this space, this story, brings you a sense of peace, perhaps you might consider a gentle tap on the like button or a quiet click to subscribe. It is a soft, silent way of telling us that we have connected, a whisper of encouragement that allows us to continue creating these journeys for you. Think of it as leaving a smooth, worn stone on a path to let others know they are headed in the right direction. There is no need to do anything now. Just hold the thought, if you wish. The journey is what matters. And now, let us allow our minds to drift. The beast, thing out, teach, the doxed, teaches, the mouse, teaches, the officer listict, destribing, deebs, gallants, digious, rivered, nodius, service, teaches, and now, let us allow our minds to drift. Drift back through the centuries. We are not just closing our eyes to the present, we are opening them to the past. But not a past of kings and battles, of grand decrees and sweeping conquests. No, we are searching for something quieter, something more intimate. We are traveling back to a time before the endless glow of screens, before the very concept of a spa, before the complex vocabulary of self-care ever existed. We are going to the Middle Ages, and we are going to ask a simple human question. How did they find peace? In a world of hardship, of scratchy wool and smoky hearths, of long winters and short lives, how did a soul find its quiet corner? How did people relax? Forget the grand narratives. Our story lies in the small things, the forgotten rituals, the quiet moments of solace that have echoed through time, waiting for us to listen. Let the air around you begin to change. It grows cooler, cleaner. It carries the scent of damp earth, of wood smoke clinging to the evening mist, a silence broken only by the distant, rhythmic clang of a blacksmith's hammer, the lowing of cattle settling for the night, or the whisper of wind through the thatch of a low-slung roof. This is a world governed by the sun and the moon, by the seasons, not by the clock. Time here is not a commodity to be saved or spent. It is a river, a slow, deep, powerful current that carries everyone along in its flow. And the first act of relaxation, the very foundation of medieval peace, was simply to surrender to this current, to stop fighting the river and simply float. Imagine a woman named Alara. She is not a queen or a noble lady. Her hands are chapped from work, her knuckles raw from the cold water of the well. Her day has been long, a tapestry woven with the threads of churning butter, mending clothes, tending the kitchen garden, and shooing chickens from the doorway. Her mind is a whirl of small anxieties. Is there enough firewood for the night? Will the bread rise properly? Is the cough of her youngest child something to worry about? As dusk settles, painting the sky in shades of bruised purple and soft gray, she does not turn on a television or scroll through a phone. She steps outside. The air is a physical presence against her skin. Cool, crisp. She pulls her shawl tighter and walks towards a small garden behind her cottage. This is her sanctuary. It is not for beauty. in the way a noble might understand it. It is a place of purpose, of life. But in that purpose, she finds a profound calm. Her feet make soft sounds on the packed earth. She runs a hand over the feathery leaves of a fennel plant, releasing its gentle anise-like scent. She stoops to crumble a leaf of mint between her fingers, inhaling the sharp, clean aroma that clears her head. She touches the rough, woody stem of a lavender bush, its purple flowers long gone, but the memory of their fragrance still clinging to the leaves. This is a conversation without words. Each scent, each texture, is a note in a quiet symphony that brings her back to herself. It is a sensory anchor in a sea of worries. The smell of the mint is the smell of summer teas and remedies for an upset stomach. The feel of the rosemary is the feel of flavor for the evening stew, a promise of warmth and nourishment. These are not abstract concepts. They are real, tangible connections to the earth, to the cycle of life, to her own power to nurture and sustain. She is not practicing mindfulness, she is simply being present. The light is fading fast now. In the distance, the bells of the local priory begin to ring for vespers, the evening prayer. The sound rolls across the fields, a deep, resonant tone that seems to vibrate in her very bones. It is not a summons to be obeyed out of fear, but a rhythm that marks the end of the day's labor. It is a permission slip from the world, granting her leave to rest. The bells are the heartbeat of her community, a shared clock that ever they signal a collective pause, a time to turn inwards. Inside her small cottage, the fire is the only light. It crackles and spits, casting long, dancing shadows on the wattle and daub walls. The light is alive. It is not the dead, steady glare of a light bulb. It is a living entity in the room, a source of warmth and comfort that draws the family together. Ilara prepares a simple infusion. She takes a small handful of dried chamomile flowers, gathered and dried weeks ago, and places them in a wooden cup. She pours hot water from the kettle hanging over the fire, and the steam that rises carries a sweet, apple-like fragrance of the herb. She holds the cup in both hands, letting the warmth seep into her palms, into her tired fingers. This is not a rush cup of tea, it is a ritual. She watches the tiny flowers swell and swirl in the water, releasing their gentle, calming properties. The warmth of the cup, the scent of the steam, the impending taste of the infusion, it is a multi-sensory experience of winding down. She sips. The liquid is warm, soothing. It traces a path of comfort down into her belly. With each sip, she feels the knots in her stomach, the tightness in her shoulders, begin to loosen. Her thoughts, which were a frantic flock of birds, begin to settle one by one. The worries are still there, perhaps, but they are quieter now. They have lost their sharp edges. This simple cup of herbal tea is a form of medicine, yes, but it is also a form of magic, a potion for peace brewed in her own hearth. Now, let us leave Ilara in her quiet cottage, cradling her cup of calm, and drift to another corner of this world. Let us find ourselves within the thick stone walls of a monastery. Here, silence is not an absence of noise. It is a presence. It is cultivated, protected, cherished. It is the soil in which contemplation grows. We see a monk, Brother Thomas, not in prayer, but in the scriptorium. The only sounds are the gentle scratch of a quill on parchment, the soft sigh of a page being turned, and the distant, muffled chant of the choir in the chapel. The air in the scriptorium smells of old parchment, oak gall ink, and melting beeswax from the single candle that illuminates his work. His task is repetitive, painstaking. He is copying a text, forming each letter with deliberate, practiced care. The lines of Latin script flow from his quill, a river of black on a sea of cream. For an outsider, this might look like tedious, mind-numbing labor. But for Brother Thomas, it is a profound form of meditation. His entire focus is narrowed to a single point, the tip of his quill. He is not thinking about the past or the future. He is entirely present in the formation of a single letter, a, then a day. His breathing is slow and even, synchronized with the movement of his hand. The repetitive motion is a balm to the restless mind. It is a physical mantra. The act of creation, of bringing order and beauty to the page, is an act of inner ordering. Each perfectly formed letter is a small victory over the chaos of the world outside. The straight, even lines of text are a visual representation of a calm and ordered mind. He is not just copying words, he is breathing them. He feels the slight drag of the nib on the fibers of the vellum. He sees the way the ink pools for a microsecond before being absorbed. He smells the earthy, slightly bitter scent of the ink he mixed himself from oak galls, iron sulfate, and gum arabic. This is a craft of the senses. When his eyes grow tired, he does not force them. He sets down his quill, the silence in the room deepening. He rises and walks to the unglazed window, a narrow slit in the thick stone wall, covered by a piece of oiled parchment to keep the worst of the wind out. He looks out over the monastery's herb garden, a perfect, geometric design of greens and grays. The orderliness of the garden is soothing to his eyes. It is a reflection of the divine order he seeks in his own soul. He watches a bee bumble among the last of the autumn flowers. He follows its path, his mind empty of all but the bee's journey. This is his release, a moment of quiet observation, a gazing meditation without the name. He is simply allowing his mind to be soft, to rest on a single simple image from the natural world. The cold stone of the windowsill leaches the heat from his hands. The sensation is grounding, real. It reminds him of his own physical body, of his place in this solid, tangible world. It pulls him out of the abstract world of letters and ideas and into the simple reality of the present moment. Let us feel that coolness now. Imagine resting your own hands on a surface that is solid, real, and cool to the touch. Feel it draw the heat, the frantic energy from your fingertips. Feel it anchor you. The search for peace was not always a solitary pursuit. Let us now travel from the quiet of the cloister to a place of steam and chatter. Let us visit a public bathhouse in a bustling medieval town. The air here is thick with steam. It hangs in the air like a fog, softening the edges of everything, muting the sounds of the town outside. It smells of hot water, of soap made from animal fat and wood ash, and of the bodies of men and women seeking cleanliness and comfort. This is not a place of silent contemplation. It is a place of community. We step into a large timber-framed room. The floor is covered with damp straw. Large wooden tubs filled with steaming water line the walls. People of all walks of life are here, merchants, artisans, servants, their social standings momentarily dissolved by the shared state of undress and the enveloping steam. The sound is a gentle hubbub, laughter, quiet conversation, the splash of water. It is a sound of communal relaxation. The warmth of the water is the first and most obvious comfort. Imagine sinking into a deep tub of hot water after a day of physical labor in a drafty, unheated workshop. The heat penetrates the muscles, easing the aches and pains of a hard life. The steam opens the pores, cleansing the skin, but it also seems to open up the soul. In the warm, wet, anonymous environment of the bathhouse, people talk. They share gossip, tell stories, complain about their lords or their apprentices. A group of women in one corner discuss a herbal remedy for a fever. Two men in another tub debate the price of wool. This is therapy, medieval style. A chance to vent, to connect, to feel part of a community, to realize that your struggles are not yours alone. A bath attendant, a sturdy woman with strong hands, offers a scrub. Using a handful of rough cloth and a coarse, lye-based soap, she scrubs a merchant's back. The friction is invigorating, stimulating the skin, sloughing away the dirt and the weariness of the week. It is a vigorous, almost painful, but ultimately cleansing experience. It is a way of physically shedding the burdens of the world. Then, there were the stews, smaller, more private rooms that could be rented. Here, a person of means might enjoy a more luxurious experience. The water might be scented with flowers or herbs, rose petals, chamomile, or elderflower floating on the surface. Imagine the sensation, the soft, velvety feel of a rose petal against your skin as you soak, the delicate fragrance rising with the steam, a perfume of pure indulgence. After the bath, one might be wrapped in a warm, clean linen sheet and be served a cup of spiced wine and a small plate of fruit. This was a holistic experience. It was about cleaning the body, yes, but it was also about soothing the mind and nourishing the spirit through warmth, scent, taste, and human connection. It was about creating a temporary bubble of comfort and pleasure in a world that was often harsh and uncomfortable. It was a deliberate stepping away from the everyday. And as the steam clears for a moment, let us look at the details. The carved wooden posts of the building, the flicker of lamplight on the wet surfaces, the relaxed, open expressions on the faces of the bathers. These are faces momentarily free from worry. Let your own facial muscles relax now. Release your jaw, soften your brow. Let the echo of that ancient warmth and community soothe you. The pursuit of relaxation was also deeply entwined with the natural world, not just in a garden, but in the vast expanse of the forest. For many, the woods were a place of danger, of wolves and outlaws, but for others, they were a place of profound peace. Let us follow a man named Alaric. He is a hunter, but today he does not carry his bow with the intent to kill. He walks into the forest to simply be there. The moment he steps under the canopy of the trees, the world changes. The light becomes dappled, green and gold. The air grows still and smells of decaying leaves, damp moss, and the sharp, resinous scent of pine. The sounds of the town are gone, replaced by the symphony of the woods. A woodpecker drumming on a distant tree, the rustle of a small animal in the undergrowth, the gentle sigh of the wind in the high branches. This is a world that operates on a different logic, a different rhythm. Alaric slows his pace, his senses on high alert, not for danger, but for discovery. This is a form of active meditation. His eyes are not just looking, they are seeing. He notices the intricate lace-like pattern of a fern. He sees the vibrant, almost shocking red of a tiny mushroom pushing its way through the brown leaves on the forest floor. He stops to watch a line of ants marching with purpose across a fallen log. He is reading the book of the forest. Each detail is a word, a sentence. He finds a familiar clearing, a place where the sun breaks through the canopy and warms a patch of moss-covered ground. He lies down on his back, his head pillowed on his hands. He looks up through the interlocking branches of the ancient oaks and beeches. He watches the clouds drift across the small patches of blue sky visible through the leaves. The sheer scale of the trees, their age, their silent strength, puts his own small life and its worries into perspective. These trees have stood here for hundreds of years. They have weathered storms, droughts, and the passing of generations. His own anxieties seem small and fleeting in comparison. He feels the texture of the moss beneath him. It is soft, springy, slightly damp. He closes his eyes and just listens. He can hear the hum of insects, the creak and groan of the trees, the flutter of a bird's wings. He can distinguish the different bird calls, the cheerful chirp of a robin, the melancholic call of a wood pigeon. He is not trying to achieve anything. He is not trying to clear his mind. He is simply allowing the forest to fill his senses, to wash over him, to cleanse his thoughts with its ancient green and brown peace. There is a term, sylvotherapy, for the healing power of being among trees. Alaric would not know the word, but he understands the principle in his bones. He is drinking in the stillness of the forest, and it is quenching a thirst he didn't even know he had. This connection to nature was a fundamental part of the medieval psyche. The world was not a resource to be exploited. It was a living entity to be respected, feared, and understood. And in that understanding, there was a deep and abiding sense of peace, a feeling of being part of something vast, ancient, and eternal. Feel that connection now. Imagine the ground beneath you, solid and supportive. Imagine the air around you, clean and fresh. Imagine the vast, quiet presence of nature, holding you, calming you, reminding you that you are a part of it all. You belong here. The day fades. Alaric walks home through the deepening twilight, his mind quiet, his body relaxed. The peace of the forest lingers with him, a shield against the worries that await him back in the village. He carries the silence of the woods within him, a treasure more valuable than any gold. From the solitary peace of the forest to the shared warmth of the hearth, from the disciplined calm of the scriptorium to the communal release of the bathhouse, the people of the Middle Ages found their own ways to unwind, to cope, to find moments of grace in a difficult world. Their methods were simple, sensory, and deeply connected to the natural rhythms of life, community, and the earth itself. They were not called self-care, they were just life. And within that life, there were hidden pools of profound tranquility. Let us rest in that thought for a moment. The idea that peace is not something to be bought or scheduled, but something to be found in the scent of a herb, in the warmth of a fire, in the silence of the trees, in the shared laughter with a friend. It has always been there, waiting, and it is waiting for us still. That same peace. Let that quiet truth settle in your mind as we drift once more, our journey through this forgotten landscape of calm not yet over. We have felt the earth, the water, the fire. Now, let us listen for another source of solace, one that travels not on the breeze or through the soil, but on the very air we breathe. Let us listen for the sound of the human voice, raised not in labor or prayer, but in story and in song. The night is deep now, a thick blanket of velvet black, pricked with the cold, distant light of the stars. The world outside is asleep, surrendered to the darkness. But inside the great hall of a small manor, a different kind of life is stirring. The main fire pit in the center of the hall is a blazing heart, pumping warmth and light into the cavernous space. The smoke curls upwards, staining the high rafters a deep, glossy black, finding its way out through a dedicated hole in the roof. The air is thick with the smell of this smoke, but it's a comforting, familiar scent. It is the smell of safety, of community gathered against the cold and the dark. People are gathered here. The lord of the manor and his family sit on a raised platform, but below, his household staff, his guards, and even a few fortunate farmhands who have finished their duties, all find a place on benches or on the straw-strewn floor. The rigid hierarchies of the day have softened in the forgiving glow of the fire. Tonight they are not just master and servant, they are an audience, and they are waiting. A man steps into the circle of light. He is a traveler, a stranger. His clothes are dusty from the road, his face weathered by the wind and sun. He carries no weapon, only a simple lute, its wooden body worn smooth with use. He is a minstrel, a storyteller, a wandering bard. In a world with no books for the common person, no theaters, no screens, he is the vessel of 1,000 tales. He is the keeper of dreams. He does not speak at first. He simply sits on a low stool, cradles his lute, and lets the silence of anticipation build. He meets the eyes of a few people in the crowd, a young kitchen maid, her eyes wide with expectation, a grizzled man-at-arms, his face a stony mask that betrays nothing, the lady of the manor who gives him a slight, encouraging nod. Then he plucks a single, gentle chord. The sound is soft, yet it fills the entire hall. It cuts through the crackle of the fire. It is a sound of pure, simple beauty. Another chord follows, then another, a slow, meandering melody that seems to have no beginning and no end. It is a musical invitation, a calling of the mind to stillness. The scattered conversations die down. The shuffling of feet ceases. All attention is now focused on this single man and the delicate sounds he coaxes from 6 strings of stretched gut. The melody is melancholic, yet sweet. It speaks of long roads, of setting suns, of love lost and found. It requires no words to be understood. It speaks directly to the heart. Feel the vibrations of that sound. Imagine it traveling through the warm, smoky air. A gentle wave of harmony washing over the gathered souls. It lowers the heart rate. It soothes the jagged edges of a weary mind. The guard's hand, resting on the hilt of his sword, relaxes its grip. The kitchen maid's shoulders, perpetually hunched from her work, begin to unknot. The music is a gentle transition, a bridge from the world of toil and trouble to the world of imagination. When he is sure he has them, when the entire hall is caught in his musical net, the minstrel begins to speak. His voice is not loud, but it is clear and resonant. It has been trained by years of projecting over the noise of taverns and town squares. But here, in the intimacy of the hall, he uses a different tone. It is confidential, drawing the listeners in, as if he is sharing a secret with each and every one of them. In the ancient lands of the north, he begins, where the mountains are capped with snow, even in the height of summer, and the fjords cut deep into the earth like the fingers of a god. And just like that, they are gone. They are no longer in a smoky hall in the English Midlands. They are in the frozen north. They can feel the biting wind, see the shimmer of the aurora in the night sky, smell the salt spray of the sea. The storyteller's greatest gift is not just his memory for tales, but his ability to paint with words. He uses the senses, Just as we have been doing on our own journey tonight, he speaks of the hero, Olaf, and they see the glint of his eyes, as gray as a winter sea. He describes the dragon scales, shimmering like 1,000 black pearls. They hear the crunch of snow under Olaf's boots. They feel the surge of courage in the hero's chest. This is the ultimate escape. For the duration of the story, the listeners are freed from the confines of their own lives. The kitchen maid is not thinking about the endless pots she has to scrub tomorrow. She's a shield maiden, fighting alongside the hero. The old soldier is not remembering his aching joints. He is reliving the fire of his youth, the thrill of adventure. The story provides more than just distraction, it provides catharsis. When the hero faces despair, the listeners feel their own private despairs reflected and acknowledged. When the hero triumphs, it is a shared victory, a communal release of tension, a reinforcement of the belief that courage and goodness can prevail, even in the darkest of times. They might laugh together at the antics of a mischievous pixie, or a collective gasp might escape their lips at a sudden turn of the plot. They are connected, bound together by the invisible thread of the narrative. The minstrel uses his voice like an instrument. It rises to a crescendo during a battle scene, his words coming faster, sharper, then it drops to a near whisper, in a moment of tender intimacy or profound sadness, forcing the audience to lean in, to hold their breath. He uses rhythm and repetition, the ancient tools of the oral tradition. Phrases and refrains appear again and again, making the story easy to follow and remember. This repetition is comforting, predictable in its structure even when the story itself is full of surprises. It is a rocking motion for the mind. This experience, this communal act of listening, is a powerful form of mental and emotional regulation. It organizes their emotions, it gives shape and meaning to the chaotic feelings of fear, hope, and love. It provides a map for the human heart. And when the tale is done, the last words hanging in the air like dust motes in a sunbeam, a profound silence falls upon the hall. It is not an empty silence. It is a full silence, pregnant with the echoes of the story they have just shared. It is a moment of collective contemplation. The minstrel, wisely, does not break it. He lets the story settle. He lets the listeners drift slowly back from the snow-capped mountains of his tale to the warm, familiar reality of the hall. The journey has cleansed them. It has washed their minds. Let us sink into that feeling, the feeling of returning from a powerful dream, the gentle disorientation, the lingering emotions, the sense of having been somewhere else entirely. This is the magic of story, a form of self-care as old as language itself. It is the original virtual reality. But it was not always a performance. Often, the most powerful stories were the ones told closer to home. Let us shift our focus from the great hall to a much smaller, humbler cottage, the same one where we met Alara earlier. The fire is lower now, a bed of glowing embers. Her children are clean, fed, and wrapped in wool blankets. This is the tweenlight, the precious quiet time between the end of work and the beginning of sleep. And it is a time for stories. Ilara is the storyteller now. She is not a trained bard. She does not know epic poems of heroes and dragons. Her stories are smaller, more intimate. She tells them the tales her own mother told her, and her mother before that. She tells them the story of the cunning fox who outwits the farmer, a tale that teaches cleverness and caution. She tells them a local saint's legend, a story of kindness and quiet miracles, a lesson in faith and compassion. She tells them a fairy tale, a story of a girl who wanders too deep into the woods and meets the fairy folk, a story that is both a warning and an enchantment. Her voice is soft, a low murmur. It is part of the tapestry of night sounds, the sigh of the wind outside, the settling groans of the cottage's timbers, the soft breathing of her husband asleep nearby. She uses her hands, her gestures small and simple in the dim light. Her face, illuminated by the orange glow of the embers, becomes a landscape of shifting emotions. Her children watch, captivated. These stories are more than entertainment. They are a form of education, a way of transmitting the values, fears, and wisdom of their culture from one generation to the next. But they are also a profound comfort. The familiar words, the known endings, are a source of security in a precarious world. The child with the cough, listening to the story, is momentarily distracted from his physical discomfort. His mind is engaged in the narrative. The rhythm of his mother's voice is a lullaby, a gentle rocking that eases him towards sleep. The story creates a safe space, a bubble of magic and love in the darkness. Inside this bubble, there are no worries about the harvest, no fears of the winter to come. There is only the voice of their mother and the well-worn path of a familiar tale. And as the child's breathing deepens, as his eyelids grow heavy, the story becomes a gentle ramp down into the world of dreams. The images from the tale, the clever fox, the kind saint, the shimmering fairies, will follow him into his sleep, shaping his dreams, continuing their work of processing and calming the mind. This nightly ritual of storytelling was a cornerstone of medieval family life. It was a way of connecting, of teaching, of loving, and, most importantly, of soothing. It was the original sleep story, a practice born of necessity and love, designed to help a small, anxious mind let go of the day and surrender to the peace of the night. Let your own mind hold on to that image, the soft, maternal voice, the glowing embers, the safety of a story well loved. Allow the cadence of my own voice to become that for you now. A simple, steady rhythm to guide you away from the complexities of your day. Music, too, was woven into the fabric of daily life, providing moments of release and joy. It wasn't just for work. Songs were sung in the fields, their rhythm making the back-breaking labor of scything or harvesting more bearable, more communal. Women sang as they spun wool or rocked a cradle, the melody simple, repetitive, hypnotic. These songs were a form of emotional expression in a world that often demanded stoicism. A sad song could give voice to a private grief. A cheerful song could lift the spirits of a whole group. The act of singing itself is a physical release. It requires deep breathing. It creates vibrations within the body. It is a way of literally changing your own frequency, of shaking off melancholy or fatigue. Imagine a group of women gathered for a spinning bee in the evening. As their wheels hum and the thread grows, one of them begins to sing an old ballad. Soon another joins in, then another, their voices blending in rough, untrained harmony. They are not performing, they are participating. They are weaving their voices together just as they are weaving the thread. The song tells a story of a knight and a lady. They all know it. They have sung it 100 times. But each time, it is a small act of creation, a moment of shared beauty. For a little while, they are not just spinners. They are the keepers of an ancient song. Their voice is a link in a chain stretching back through generations. The repetitive motion of their hands and feet, combined with the repetitive melody of the song, creates a state of light trance, a deep and focused calm. The worries of the day recede, replaced by the simple, satisfying task at hand and the beauty of the shared song. This is self-care as a collective practice, a way of creating a small, temporary island of harmony and beauty in the midst of their hard lives. It cost nothing. It required no special equipment. It was made of the most basic and powerful materials, the human voice, memory, and the desire for connection. From the grand tale in the Lord's Hall to the simple lullaby in the cottage, from the work song in the field to the ballad sung around the spinning wheels, sound and story were the invisible threads that stitched the medieval world together. They were the medicine for a weary soul, the escape for a trapped mind, and the gentle hand that guided the anxious towards the shores of sleep. They reminded people that even in the darkest of nights, there was light to be found in a well-told tale, and peace to be found in a simple song. They were listening together. And so, let us listen to the silence that follows the story, the silence that holds its echo. Let the imaginary notes of the lute fade away, leaving behind a sense of peace. Let the storyteller's voice recede, leaving the gift of his tale. Rest in this quiet afterglow, this space of calm that has been carved out for you by the power of words. The journey is not over, but here in this moment, we can simply be still and listen. Listen to that silence. It is a rare and precious thing. In that stillness, after the story is told and the music has faded, another journey can begin. A journey not to a mythical land or a distant forest, but inwards. a journey into the vast, quiet landscape of the self. The people of the Middle Ages, for all their outward struggles, understood this landscape perhaps better than we do today. They knew that the soul, like the body, needed its own forms of rest, its own sanctuaries. And they built these sanctuaries not just in their hearts, but in stone and glass. Let us rise from the fireside, leave the storyteller to his rest, and walk through the sleeping pre-dawn streets of a medieval city. The air is cold and damp. The sounds are few. The distant bark of a dog, the creak of a signpost in the wind. The narrow timber-framed houses lean in towards each other, their windows dark and shuttered. But ahead, one structure rises above the rest, its dark mass immense against the pale, star-dusted sky. A cathedral, or a simple parish church. It does not matter. Its purpose is the same. It is a house of silence. We follow a figure, a man named Renaud, a wool merchant. His mind is not at peace. It is a ledger book of anxieties. A shipment is late, a debt is due, the price of fleece is falling. His thoughts are a tangled, knotted thread, and he cannot find the end of it. He does not seek a sermon or a service. He seeks refuge. He pushes open the heavy oak door. The sound of its iron hinges groaning is loud in the sleeping street, but once inside, the sound is swallowed by a vast and waiting silence. The door closes behind him, and with a soft, definitive thud, the world of commerce and worry is shut out. The change is instantaneous and absolute. The air inside is different. It is cold, yes, but it is a still sacred cold. It smells of ancient stone, of beeswax, and faintly of the lingering sweetness of yesterday's incense. It is a smell that has not changed for centuries. It is the perfume of contemplation. The darkness is not total. A few candles flicker on a distant altar, their tiny flames like lonely stars in a stone galaxy. High above, the first hints of dawn are beginning to filter through the stained glass windows. But it is not yet light. It is a soft, colored twilight, painting patches of deep blue and ruby red onto the stone pillars. The space itself is designed to make one feel small. The high, vaulted ceilings draw the eyes upwards, away from the self, towards something greater. The sheer weight and age of the stone all around is a testament to permanence, a silent rebuke to the fleeting, frantic worries of a single human life. Renaud's footsteps echo as he walks down the central aisle. Each footfall is a solitary, measured sound, punctuating the immense quiet. It forces him to slow down. He cannot rush here. The space demands reverence, not just of the soul, but of the body. He finds a quiet side chapel, dedicated to a saint of some long-forgotten name. He does not fall to his knees in a burst of desperate prayer. The process is quieter, more methodical. It is a ritual of release. He kneels on the cold stone floor, the hardness of it, a grounding sensation. It is a posture of humility, an immediate physical act of letting go of pride and control. He does not begin with words. He begins with breath. He watches a single candle flame. Its dance is hypnotic. It wavers and dips, yet it remains constant, a single point of light in the vast darkness. He narrows his entire world to that flame. His frantic thoughts, the ledger book of worries, begin to clamor for his attention. The late shipment, the unpaid debt, he acknowledges them. He does not fight them. And then he lets them go, offering them up into the silence, into the care of something larger than himself. Each thought that arises is a bubble, and he watches it float up and dissolve into the great dark space above him. His breathing, which had been shallow and tight in his chest, begins to deepen, in and out. A slow, steady rhythm that begins to match the slow, steady flicker of the candle. From a pouch at his belt, he takes out a string of wooden beads, a rosary. He closes his eyes and his fingers find the first bead. The wood is smooth, worn down by years of touch. It is cool against his skin. This is a tactile anchor for the wandering mind. His fingers move from one bead to the next, as his lips murmur the ancient, familiar prayers. The words are so well known that he does not need to think of them. They are a current, and he allows his mind to flow along with them. Ave Maria, gratia plena. The Latin words are not just a plea, they are a sound, a vibration. He is realigning himself, finding his small place in a vast divine order. The belief that there was an order a plan, was in itself the ultimate balm against the random cruelty of fate. After a time he does not measure, he falls silent. The beads rest in his hand. He remains kneeling, not thinking, not praying, just being, soaking in the silence, letting the cool, colored peace of the place seep into his very bones. When he finally rises, his knees are stiff, but his mind is clear. The problems are still there, waiting for him outside the heavy oak door. But they have changed. They have shrunk. They are no longer a tangled, suffocating knot. They are just a list of tasks to be done. He has found the end of the thread. He has found perspective. Now, let us imagine this principle of structured peace taken to its ultimate expression. Let us drift from the town church to a cloistered nunnery, hidden away from the world by high stone walls. Here, the search for inner peace is not a brief refuge from the day. It is the day's entire purpose. The lives of the nuns are governed by the horarium, the liturgy of the hours. Their day is divided into 8 periods of prayer, from matins in the dead of night to compline after the sun has set. This is not a schedule of chores, it is a rhythm of life, a perfectly structured symphony of contemplation. Imagine a novice, Sister Agnes. Her former life was one of uncertainty. Now her life has a perfect, predictable cadence. The ringing of a bell calls her to the chapel. The rising and falling chants of the psalms provide the soundtrack to her days. The chanting itself is a powerful tool of relaxation. To sing the psalms, one must control the breath. The long, melodic lines of Gregorian chant require a slow, full exhalation. The shared sound, the voices of the sisters blending into one, creates a sense of unity, of losing the individual self in a greater, more beautiful whole. The vibrations of the chant resonate within the chest, a physical sensation of harmony. Her work is also a form of meditation. Whether she is in the scriptorium like Brother Thomas, her mind focused on the tip of a quill, or in the herb garden, her hands deep in the fragrant earth, the task is simple, repetitive, and performed with a quiet, focused mind. This life of radical simplicity and structure was a powerful antidote to the chaos of the medieval world and the chaos of the human mind. It eliminated the endless, anxiety-producing burden of choice. It provided a clear path, a well-worn channel for all of one's energy, thoughts, and emotions. The silence of the cloister, the rhythm of the bells, the cadence of the chant, the focus of the manual work, it all combined to create an environment meticulously designed for the cultivation of inner peace. It was a lifelong spa treatment for the soul. We do not need to live in a cloister to understand the wisdom of this. The idea of creating small rituals of peace in our own day. The idea of finding a space, a chapel of the self, that is dedicated to quiet. The idea of using a repetitive, calming phrase or mantra to focus the mind. The idea of surrendering for a few moments, the illusion that we must control everything. Let us return to Renaud, the merchant, as he steps back out of the church. The sun is higher now, and the street is beginning to stir with life. The sounds of wagons and voices greet him. The world has not changed, but he has. He walks back into the stream of his life, but he carries the silence of the church within him. A small, protected flame. A quiet space in his own heart. He has not solved his problems. He has remembered that he is more than his problems. Let us hold on to that feeling, the feeling of inner quiet, the sense of a sanctuary carried within, a place that cannot be touched by the noise and hurry of the world. Close your eyes, if you haven't already, and try to find the entrance to that space within you now. It is there. It has always been there. It is built of silence, and it is waiting for you. Just push open the heavy door and step inside. You do not need to build a cathedral to find it. That quiet space, that inner room. Sometimes the most sacred sanctuary is the one with the lowest roof, the simplest walls. Sometimes peace is not found by looking up to the heavens, but by coming home, home to the body, home to the hearth. Let us leave the grand arches and the cold stone behind. Let us journey to the very heart of medieval comfort, a place of such profound and simple solace that we often overlook its power. Let us go home. The day has been long and trying, not with the anxieties of commerce or the weight of existential dread, but with the simple, bone-deep weariness of physical work. Imagine a woodsman or a farmer. Let's call him Piers. He has spent his day in the damp, wind-swept fields, his hands raw, his back aching, a persistent chill clinging to his very marrow. The sky has wept a cold, steady rain since noon. As twilight bleeds into a wet, starless night, he finally turns towards his cottage. It is a small, dark shape against the gray landscape, a humble structure of timber, wattle, and daub. To a modern eye, it might seem impoverished, bleak. To Piers, it is a beacon. It is everything. The final few hundred yards of his walk are a trial. The mud sucks at his worn leather boots. The wind whips his wet cloak around him. But his pace quickens because he can see it. A sliver of orange light glowing through a crack in the wooden shutter. And he can smell it on the wind. Wood smoke. There is no perfume in the world more beautiful than that scent to a cold and weary man. It is the smell of warmth, the smell of safety, the smell of dinner. It is the smell of home. He reaches the door, fumbling with the simple latch. He pushes the rough wooden plank open and steps inside. And the world is reborn. The assault of the wind and rain ceases instantly. Here, inside, the air is still, warm, and thick with the comforting smells of life. The dominant scent is the wood smoke from the central hearth, but beneath it are the aromas of bubbling pottage, of drying herbs hanging from the rafters, of damp wool steaming near the fire, of humanity. His wife, the same Elara we met in her garden, looks up from the pot and gives him a small, weary smile of welcome. His children, huddled on the floor near the fire, call out his name. This is the first wave of comfort, the simple, profound relief of arrival, of being known and being welcomed, of crossing a threshold from the harsh, indifferent world into a small circle of warmth and care. He sheds his wet cloak, his body shivering as the cold releases its grip. The fire is the center of this universe. It is not a decorative element. It is the sun around which this small family orbits. It is their light, their heat, their kitchen, their protector against the dark. Piers moves towards it, holding out his hands. The heat washes over his skin, a feeling so intensely pleasurable, it is almost painful at first. He can feel the blood returning to his fingers, a tingling, prickling sensation of life rekindled. He closes his eyes for a moment, just soaking in the raw, elemental power of the heat. He is not thinking about self-care. He is not analyzing the sensation. He is simply experiencing it with the full, undivided attention of a body that has been desperate for this feeling all day. Let yourself feel that warmth now. Imagine a gentle, radiant heat spreading through your own hands, your own body. A deep, penetrating warmth that soothes your muscles and calms your nerves. The kind of warmth that feels like safety itself. The evening meal is simple. There is no great feast. It is a thick, savory pottage, a stew of root vegetables, grains, and perhaps a few scraps of salted meat, which has been simmering over the fire for hours. It is served in wooden bowls, accompanied by chunks of dark, heavy bread. They eat gathered close to the fire's glow. The act of eating is slow, deliberate. This is not a rushed meal. It is the primary ritual of the evening. It is the act of refueling, of restoring the body's depleted energy. Piers holds his bowl in his hands, the warmth of it seeping into his palms. He lifts the spoon to his lips and tastes the food. It is hot, nourishing, familiar. The flavors are not complex or surprising, and that is part of their comfort. It is the taste of his life, the taste of his home, the taste of survival. With each spoonful, he feels the chill being driven from the inside out. He feels his strength returning. The gnawing emptiness in his stomach is replaced by a pleasant, gentle fullness. The sounds in the cottage are soft, intimate, the crackle and hiss of the fire, the scrape of spoons against wooden bowls, the low murmur of conversation. They speak of small things, the price of eggs at the market, a neighbor's sick cow, a funny thing one of the children said. This is not world-changing dialogue. It is a gentle restitching of the family fabric after a day spent apart. It is the sound of a shared life. After the meal, the pace of the evening slows even further. The work of the day is done. The time for rest has arrived. This transition is not marked by the turning of a dial or the pressing of a button. It is a natural, organic process. Ilara banks the fire, carefully covering the glowing embers with ash, so that a spark of life will remain to be kindled in the morning. The roaring blaze dies down to a soft, pulsating orange glow, and the shadows in the small cottage deepen. The world shrinks to this one, warm, dimly lit room. The bed is a simple straw-filled mattress on the floor in a corner, shared by the whole family for warmth. By modern standards, it would be unthinkable, uncomfortable, unhygienic, but to them, it is a haven. The straw, replaced periodically, has a faint, sweet, earthy smell. It rustles softly as they settle down. The blankets are coarse, heavy wool. They are not soft, but they are warm. The weight of them is a comfort in itself, a grounding, reassuring pressure on the body. It is a physical reminder of being covered, protected, secure. Let yourself feel that sensation now, the feeling of a comfortable weight, a gentle pressure that signals safety and encourages your body to be still. The feeling of being tucked in, shielded from the world. Outside, the wind howls, the rain drums against the roof, but inside, those sounds are transformed. They are no longer a threat. They are the soundtrack of coziness. Every gust of wind, every downpour, only serves to amplify the feeling of warmth and security within their small fortress of comfort. There is a deep, primal satisfaction in being safe and warm while a storm rages outside. It is one of humanity's oldest and most profound forms of peace. Lying there in the near darkness, listening to the storm and the steady breathing of his family, Pierce's mind is quiet. The aches of his body are real, but they are the aches of labor done, not of anxiety. His mind is not racing, it is empty, calm. He is too tired for worry. His body, having received the warmth, food, and security it craved, is now demanding its final due: sleep. And this, perhaps, was the ultimate and most important form of medieval self-care. Sleep was not a luxury. It was not something to be curtailed for productivity. It was a deep biological necessity that was respected. Life was governed by the sun. When darkness fell for most people, the day's work was over. The enforced darkness of the night was a natural cue for the body and mind to shut down. There were no screens to flood the brain with blue light, no endless distractions to keep the mind buzzing for hours past sundown. The descent into sleep was natural, following the rhythms of the earth. The weariness of the body was a powerful, undeniable sedative. The peace they found in sleep was profound, restorative, and absolute. It was a nightly surrender, a letting go of consciousness itself, a trust that the world would still be there when the sun returned. It was a small death that made each new day a resurrection. The simple comforts of the hearth and home, the rituals of warmth, food, and rest, were not seen as care. They were simply the pillars of life. But they formed a powerful foundation for mental and physical well-being. They were the constant, reliable comforts in a world of uncertainty. They were the knowledge that no matter how cold the day, the fire would be waiting. No matter how hungry you were, there would be pottage in the pot. No matter how weary, there was a place to lie down and let the world fall away. This was a peace that was not sought, but inhabited. A relaxation that was not practiced, but lived. It was found in the very texture of existence. In the weight of a blanket, in the warmth of a fire, in the taste of bread, in the profound healing embrace of a good night's sleep. Let the image of that simple cottage, that circle of warmth in the stormy dark, stay with you now. Let its peace permeate your own space. Feel the security, feel the warmth, feel the quiet permission to let go. The work is done, the day is over. All that is left is to rest, to surrender to the gentle downward pull of stillness, to allow yourself the same simple, profound comfort that Piers and his family found in their straw bed so many centuries ago. The comfort of coming home to yourself and finding all is well. All is well. Rest in that knowledge. Rest in the deep, quiet stillness of the sleeping cottage. Feel the imaginary weight of the wool blanket, the faint, sweet smell of straw, the profound security of the hearth's last embers glowing in the dark. This is the bedrock of peace, a place where the body's needs are met, and so the mind is granted permission to be still. Here, in this imagined past, we have found the root of all relaxation, a return to the simple, the essential, the real. Our journey through these bygone days is drawing to a close, but the places we have been, the people we have met, they do not simply vanish. They leave an echo, a whisper, a gentle resonance that hums just beneath the surface of our own modern lives. The past and the present, after all, are not such distant lands. Think of Alara, her hands deep in the soil of her small garden. Remember the scent of the mint she crushed between her fingers, the sharp, clean fragrance that cleared her head. Remember the feathery touch of the fennel leaves. That was her sanctuary, a living, breathing space that connected her to the earth, grounding her anxieties in the real, tangible cycle of growth and harvest. That same earth is still here, beneath our feet. That same need to connect with something living, something real, is still etched into our souls. Perhaps her garden is now a single potted plant on a windowsill, a small pot of basil, or mint, or rosemary. The act of watering it, of touching its leaves, of inhaling its fragrance, the echo of Alara's peace, can be found there. It is a quiet act of tending to life, and in doing so, tending to ourselves. A reminder that we, too, are part of the natural world, even in a city of concrete and steel. Drift back to the cool, silent scriptorium of Brother Thomas. See the single candle flame, the intense focus in his eyes, the slow, deliberate scratch of the quill on parchment. His world was narrowed to the creation of a single, beautiful letter, a physical mantra, a victory of order and intention over the chaos of the mind. That same intense, meditative focus is a treasure waiting for us. His scriptorium can be any task that absorbs us completely. It might be the gentle pearl knit of a scarf, the slow, careful strokes of a paintbrush on a canvas, the focused chopping of vegetables for a meal, the act of writing in a journal, anything that quiets the chattering mind and channels its frantic energy into a single, graceful, repetitive motion. In these moments of deep focus, we find the same peace as the monk. We find a quiet harbor from the endless storm of thoughts. Feel the steam of the medieval bathhouse on your skin. Hear the gentle hubbub of voices, the laughter, the shared complaints and stories. Remember the feeling of sinking into the hot water, a collective sigh of relief. It was a place of community, of cleansing not just the body, but the spirit, by sharing burdens and realizing one was not alone. That need for connection, for the warmth of shared human experience, is the water we swim in. Perhaps the bathhouse is now a long phone call with a dear friend, a quiet cup of coffee with a sibling, a shared meal with loved ones where laughter flows freely. It is any space where we feel safe enough to be vulnerable, to speak our truths, and to listen to the truths of others. The healing comes not from the water, but from the communion, the knowledge that we are all in this together. Let your mind wander back into the deep, green silence of the forest with Alaric the hunter. Lie down with him on the mossy ground and look up through the cathedral of the trees. Feel how the sheer age and scale of the ancient oaks put his own fleeting worries into perspective. He did not seek to conquer nature, but to be humbled by it, to be absorbed into its vast, slow rhythm. That same forest, or a version of it, is still our greatest teacher in humility. It might be a city park, a walk along a river, or simply sitting on a bench and watching the clouds drift by. The principle is the same: to step outside of our own human-centric world and witness something larger, older, and more patient than ourselves. To watch a line of ants, to study the pattern on a leaf, to feel the wind on our face. It is in these moments of selfless observation that our own sense of self, with all its anxieties, can soften its grip. And what of the storyteller, the minstrel in the firelit hall? His voice, his lute, his tales of dragons and heroes. They were the vessel that carried an entire community away from their troubles. A shared dream, a collective catharsis. That magic is all around us, in 1,000 different forms. It is in the pages of a book that we cannot put down. It is in a film that makes us weep. It is in a piece of music that makes our spirits soar. It is in this very story this quiet sharing of words in the dark. Anytime we allow ourselves to be transported, to surrender to a narrative, we are tapping into that same ancient magic. We are giving our own weary minds a vacation, letting them rest and reset in an imaginary world. Remember Renaud the merchant kneeling in the colored twilight of the church? The scent of beeswax and old stone, the profound silence? His ritual of surrender, of handing over his worries to something greater than himself, was not about divine intervention. It was about perspective. It was the psychological freedom that comes from admitting, this is beyond my control. That act of surrender is one of the most powerful forms of self-care we can practice. His church can be any space that inspires awe and humility. It can be standing by the ocean, looking at the stars, or simply the quiet sanctuary of our own bedroom. The ritual can be a prayer, a meditation, or a simple, silent moment of acknowledgement. The act of consciously releasing our grip on the things we cannot change, of letting go of the burden of constant control. That is where true peace lies. It is the great exhale of the soul. And finally, let us return to Piers and Alara's cottage, to the elemental comfort of the fire, the nourishment of the simple meal, the profound security of a warm bed on a stormy night. This was the foundation, the daily, nightly practice of caring for the body so the mind could rest. This, above all, is our inheritance. The wisdom of the body is timeless. The need for warmth when we are cold, the need for food when we are hungry, the need for rest when we are weary. In our complex modern lives, we often ignore these simple, profound truths. We work when we are tired, we eat on the run, we forget the simple pleasure of just being warm and safe. To truly care for ourselves is to remember this ancient, simple wisdom. To savor a meal without distraction, to honor our need for sleep, to create a home, no matter how humble, that feels like a true sanctuary, to listen to the quiet, insistent language of our own bodies. The world of the Middle Ages was harsh, difficult, and often short. Yet, woven into its fabric were these threads of profound peace, simple solace, and deep wisdom. They found their calm not by adding more, but by connecting with what was already there: the earth, their community, their inner spirit, and the rhythms of their own bodies. These threads have not broken. They stretch across the centuries, right to this very moment, right to where you are resting now. They are echoes in our own hearts, waiting to be heard. The need for grounding, the need for focus, the need for connection, the need for perspective, the need for story, the need for surrender, and the deep, abiding need for a safe place to come home to. All of these are your birthright. They are the tools of peace that have been passed down through generations. They are here for you now. As you drift, as you float in this quiet space between story and sleep, perhaps you can feel them, the echoes of the past meeting the stillness of your present, a gentle, quiet collision, a reminder that peace is not a destination to be reached, but a timeless presence to be remembered and returned to. Returning, always returning. Let that be the final thought that holds you now, a gentle, effortless return. You have journeyed far tonight, across centuries, through forests and firelit halls, into the quiet recesses of the human heart. And now, the journey's end is simply a return to the sanctuary of your own rest. There is nothing left to do, nothing to solve, nothing to hold on to. All the people we have met, Alara, Thomas, Alaric, Renaud, Piers, they have all found their peace. They have surrendered to the rhythms of their world, and now you can surrender to yours. The rhythm of your own slow, steady breath. Imagine all the tensions of your day, the worries, the lists, the lingering conversations. See them as small, heavy stones in your hands. Now, walk with Renaud into the great, quiet stillness of the cathedral. Feel the cool, silent air. One by one, without judgment. Simply open your hands and let the stones fall. Hear the faint, imagined sound as they land on the ancient floor, their weight no longer yours to carry. You can leave them there. They will be safe. You can be free. Let your breath be your guide now. It is the oldest and truest rhythm you know, a gentle tide, washing in and washing out. With each breath you take in, imagine you are breathing in the clean, crisp air of Alaric's forest, scented with pine and damp earth. And with each breath you let go, Feel your body sinking deeper, becoming as heavy and rooted as the ancient trees. Grounded, secure. Feel a gentle warmth begin to pool in your feet. It is the warmth of Pierce's hearth, that glowing, radiant heart of the home. Let that soft orange glow spread slowly up through your legs, soothing every muscle, every fiber. The warmth of safety, the warmth of arrival. It moves into your stomach, your chest, spreading a deep, comforting ease throughout your core. Let your hands become still and heavy, resting where they lie. Imagine the stillness of Brother Thomas's scriptorium settling upon them. A stillness of purpose, of focus, now complete. There is no more work for them to do, no more tasks to perform. They can be at rest, holding nothing but peace. Allow your shoulders to release, to melt away from your ears. Let go of the burdens they have carried. Let them be washed clean by the memory of the bathhouse steam. A warm, gentle vapor carrying away all strain, leaving you soft, open, and relaxed. Your neck and your jaw can let go now. Unclench, release. Let your head feel heavy on the surface beneath you. Let the minstrel's song, that quiet, meandering melody, play softly in the background of your mind, a lullaby with no words, smoothing away the last wrinkles of thought. The small muscles around your eyes, let them be soothed by the memory of the dim, colored light filtering through the stained glass window. A soft, gentle twilight for the mind. There is nothing more to see. The day is done. The story is told. You are floating now in a quiet, dark, and comfortable space. You are in the heart of the cottage, safe while the storm rages far away. You are in the deep of the forest, held by the ancient silence. You are in the still center of the cathedral, beyond the reach of the world's noise. You are in the storyteller's audience, wrapped in the afterglow of a tale well told. All these places of peace are your places of peace. All their moments of rest are your moments of rest. They have been gathered for you, a soft bed for you to lie upon as you drift. So drift, now. Let go of the thread of this story. Let go of the sound of my voice. Float on the slow, dark river of time, which flows only in one direction now, towards the deep, quiet, healing ocean of sleep. And today's story also slowly comes to a close.